All right, y'all. Just an update on my COVID situation. Just giving you guys a brief, just a little keeping you up to date on my COVID situation. So, this is the COVID chronicles. This is the COVID chronicles. So it's day 16 since I first got a symptom and been diagnosed with COVID. So, uh, the good news is that the CDC people, like the Center of Disease or whatever, New York State, the tracing people, they trace, contact trace. They want to make sure that you're quarantined, sequestered, and you're not coming in contact with them. They call me like every 2-3 days, every day, every 2 days they call me just to, again, they just want to make sure they're monitoring you essentially. I done got letters from the county of Nassau. They like, listen, you're infected. Don't leave your house. Don't. You're an imminent imperilment to the community. Like crazy kind of letter, right? So the state calls me. I get a letter from the county. It's like they monitoring you. Once you get diagnosed and you tested positive, you're in their data. You're in the data. You're in the health department system. So everybody's they're watching you pretty much. So because obviously they want to contain this thing. It's just containment measures they're taking. So, but yeah, so I'm day 16. My temperature's under 100. I'm back to 98, 97, under 100. I was 102 for like 8 days, 6 days straight. But my temperature's been under 100, under 90, 98. Right, I'm like 97.7. So my temperature's back to normal. My energy is starting to come back. I definitely feel a lot better, right? Like I said, I spoke to the CDC people. They called me yesterday morning, Monday morning, just to make sure I'm, again, just to monitor me or whatever. And they gave me the good news is that if your temperature remains under 100 in the 90s or whatever, your normal temperature, 98, 97, for the 10 days that if it remains under 90, yeah, if it remains 98, 97, that the healthy temperature, and it remains there for that 10 days or 8 days or whatever, for a week, if you remain under for like a week without any kind of fever reducer, you're not using any kind of medication, and you're remaining within a normal range for 10 days or better, that's a good sign. It means that your body has gotten rid of the virus, has actually developed the antibodies. That means you have developed the antibodies for the virus, right? So they call you to tell you stuff like that. So they called me yesterday and gave me that's good news, right? So I felt good about that. Still tell me this, to stay on rest, like, just rest, because it's like, listen, for the next couple of weeks your body needs to recover. You're gonna be feeling weak. You're not gonna have a lot of strength. You're just gonna be very drained, which is true. I still feel incredibly drained, right? But I feel a lot better. I'm not gonna lie, no complaints. I feel a lot better, but I'm definitely just feeling weak now. So again, this is my COVID chronicles, just to kind of inspire anybody who's going through it, might go through it, whatever, family members going through it. Week one was the worst. Week one, I died. I mean, I'm not even, I'm exaggerating to prove a point. Week one, I just died. Like, I mean, like I said, I couldn't brush my teeth, and I'm not exaggerating. That's a fact. I could not brush my teeth. Why? I couldn't stand up. I couldn't stand up or hold my hand like this. Something so basic as brushing. I couldn't do that. Like, just completely, I couldn't lift my hands up. I couldn't stand up. So week one, I mean, for like the whole week, I didn't brush my teeth. Forget about showers. So that whole week, I was funky and just like I said, I died that week. There's nothing in me. There was nothing. I was in pain. Like my toes, my whole freaking body was just in pain. Like everything hurt. And it was like just aches. It wasn't like a exercise pain or anything. It was just like aches. Everything was just aching. Every move, everything ached. And I just felt hot and like, dude, that week one was the worst. Week one was the worst. I didn't have any breathing symptoms, thank God. I was able to breathe okay, but all the other symptoms definitely was just week one. Like I said, week one was the worst. And even with all that, the worst part about week one, or just not just week one, the worst part about this whole thing is this is the psychological uh damage. This is the worst part from a psychological perspective, not so much a physical. no one can come around you. So let's say you're married. Let's say you have a wife, you have a husband, you have a boyfriend, a girlfriend, a cat, a dog, whatever, right? Your kids. No one, because remember, this is not like if you have a fever, in bygones day you catch a fever, your girlfriend could bring you soup. Your brother could come in and give you some soup. Your sister, your mom, family members, whatever, right? This is not like, this is unique. This is different. No one can come around you. This is why, if I'm sure you guys seen the news when, especially last year, a lot of people were dying alone in the hospitals. Still today, they're still doing that. People are still dying alone in hospitals because no one can come around. Obviously, those are extreme cases, but it's the same in principle. In theory, it's the same. Like, no one can come to your aid. Like, you could be in a house with your family members. You got to be locked in a basement somewhere, quarantined somewhere, and your family members, again, in theory, theoretically, I mean, they can come and do whatever, but you're putting them at risk. You see what I'm saying? Because COVID affects people differently. Because I don't have underlying issues. Glory be to God for that. Like, I don't have high blood pressure. All my vitals were in tip-top shape, right? I got very strong lungs. That's what they told me. Because I exercise, I run. I'm always running. So I know that helped, right? Because if the stronger your immune system, your physiology, meaning your heart rate, your lungs, your kidneys, if you're not a heavy drinker, put it like this, again, in short, if you don't have underlying issues, you stand a better chance of fighting this disease. Because it's really and truly, it's only your immune system against COVID. Because it's a novel disease. It's new. There's not enough years of research to really determine how to combat it. So your only defense mechanism is you. It's your health. How you've been taking care of yourself for the last 10 years, 15 years, right? So if your blood pressure is high, your cholesterol, your diabetes or whatever, your blood pressure, you're diabetic, that does not help your situation. It actually hurts you. So to me, that's like probably the worst part. You can't get anybody to come and help you. You know what I'm saying? Nobody could come and help you. Like, you can't call on a friend and say, hey, listen, man, can you come by? I mean, you can. Technically, you can. But you don't want to put your friends or family members at risk. So, that's why they tell you have to quarantine. You have to self-isolate, the letters they've been sending me from the county of Nassau, whatever, Long Island, and the department, New York State, all those letters, I have some of them here, they say stuff like, you have to self-isolate, right? Don't come, and if you come in contact with anybody, they want you to tell them. So that was probably one of the most, like, psychological, difficult parts of this whole thing. Like, you just have to lay there and just go through it on your own. This is like really just you, and that's it. You and your faith in God. That's it. This is you and your faith. So I think that was probably one of the most psychological, not so much physical, but psychological damaging part, is just knowing that, damn, I can't even ask nobody to come in here and, help me get through this thing, because it's you don't want to, it's contagious. And this new variant is what I had. I got hit with this new strain. Yeah, and that's even way more contagious than the previous one, right? So that was a challenge in and of itself, right there. Like I said, I'm out the woods, but I'm not totally out the woods. I'm out the woods in the sense that I'm maintaining 97.7 degree temperature, and it's been like that now for the last week, and 0 fever reducers. I haven't been taking any medications to reduce my temperature, so my temperature is naturally back in its healthy range, which is indicative of a good, that's a good sign. I say I'm not totally out the woods because, like they told me, I just need to rest. I still need to rest because my body just went through all that. I have the antibodies, per my conversation with the CDC people. They're like, you have the antibodies now, and which is good, but they're saying that only lasts for like 3 or 4 months. It doesn't guarantee you protection, because there could be a new strain tomorrow and then you're still vulnerable to that. But for the most part, as it stands now, I have the antibodies. My immune system has built the antibodies for this new strain, so I have that defense mechanism, which is good. I don't need to take the vaccine. They told me yesterday, like, you don't need to take the vaccine because you now have the antibodies, right? Your body naturally created the antibodies, which is that's a great that's a great thing. That's fantastic. But yeah, so I'm out of the woods, but I'm not totally out of the woods, but I'm out of the woods. But I'm just, I just need to, like I said, I just need to rest and recuperate. But as far as like the worst parts, the actual virus, I'm out of the woods, right? And I thank God for that. I thank God so much for that, because last year, 2020, I was hospitalized for like 8 or 9, maybe I think about 10 days or whatever. And I had walking pneumonia. I was 235. I dropped to 212. This was January, and I had walking pneumonia, had a lung infection, had breathing issues, and I was, like I said, I was in the hospital for like 8 or 9 days, and they didn't know if it was COVID, because at that time, January, COVID wasn't mainstreamed yet. COVID got mainstreamed, I think, in March. So, but I had whatever it was, they didn't know. But I was hospitalized, and now this year, I get hit with COVID, this Delta variant, and it's been what 16 days to date since I got hit with it. Yeah, it's been 16 days. So, it's in terms of my health issues, my health, it's just been a roller coaster. Like I said, I dropped to 212 pounds last year from 240, 235. Now I'm at 218 from 235 just 2 weeks ago. You know what I'm saying? So, I was 235. I weighed myself today. I'm 218 pounds. So that's about 15, 16 pounds. You know, it's about 16, 17 pounds in 2 weeks that I dropped. So, it's just, it's crazy, because like I said, I live a very disciplined life, like in terms of like, my health and my fitness and my just being conscious of my taking care of myself. Like I do a lot of running, a lot of running, right? A lot of exercising. I'm in the gym a lot. I mean, I'm just really conscious of taking care of my health, right? And it's something I enjoy doing, right? It's something to stay motivated, and these disciplines. And everything just got thrown out of whack. I haven't been to the gym. I haven't ran. I haven't done anything. I'm a writer. I write. I haven't written anything. I haven't been reading, because I'm an avid reader. I love to do all these. So these disciplines, these things, and my meditations, everything, I just like everything got thrown off. Everything. Like I do a lot of meditating. I haven't meditated since this century. I haven't ran. I haven't jogged. I haven't, none of my disciplines and my practices have been, everything just kind of like went on pause. So I'm gonna have to work my way back up physically as well as mentally to these levels pre-COVID. But again, no complaints. I'm grateful and I'm thankful that there's been 35 million cases in the U.S. alone. Yeah, 35 million cases, 700,000 deaths, or just under 700,000, 600 and something thousand deaths. So you're talking about almost 750,000. Yeah, almost 750,000 people died. Again, that's a lot of people in a year and a half, because COVID's been around for about a year and a half now. And I just have to count my blessings, because it's a very serious disease, very serious virus, and, claimed a lot of lives. And that's 600, 700,000 people just in the U.S. Globally, there's way more, in the millions. So I'm just grateful that I was one of the few to survive this thing, and to still be here to talk about it. But there's a Bible verse that comes to my mind as I'm speaking. In the book of Job, Job says, "Though he slays me, yet still will I trust him." And he's talking about God. He said, "Though God," because his friends are saying, "Yo, you're going through all this, you're losing everything, blah 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 blah." His wife even told him to curse God and die. And Job's response was, "Though he slays me, yet still I'm going to trust him." And Job was the Steve Jobs of his day, right? He was the Jeff Bezos. He was the Carl Icahns, the Elon Musk, right? He had all the ox, right? Today it's stocks and bonds. He had ox and cattle, cattle and ox, right? He had all the money, he had all the material wealth of his day. So to lose that all, and still be able to say, though God slays me, slay can be destroys, though God ruins me, I'm still going to trust him. There's a lot of comfort in that. I find a tremendous amount of solace in that passage, and I'm sharing that with you guys to just say, a lot of people tell you don't blame God, and that's fine. That's fact. Take responsibility for your own life. Yes, I'm responsible for me naturally. Naturally speaking, I'm responsible for my life. and I want this to sink in. From a natural perspective, I'm responsible for my own life, and I'm responsible for everything that occurs in my life. From a natural perspective, I can't blame nobody. That's a fact. It's not the government. It's not the economy. It's me, right? Fact. Supernaturally, it's not me. And this is what Job was saying. This is what Job understood. From a supernatural perspective, what he was saying is, listen, nothing can, I know that anything that befalls me, anything that attacks me, that gets through to me to bring me harm, any evil that comes up on my door, if it got to me, it was first father filtered. That's what Job was saying, essentially. It was filtered, father filtered. And if it was filtered and it got through the filter, that means it got an approval and a sanction, and it got a stamp of approval from my father, which is my source, which is my creator, which is my God. This is what Job is saying. And if my creator gave it a stamp of approval to touch me, in this case, to lose my wife, well, he didn't lose his wife, but to lose my kids, all his cattle, his ox, all his riches, right? If my creator approved and stamped and okayed that, then I'm okay with that. I'm going to still keep trusting him. And there's a great comfort in that. And that's a higher, like I said, it's a higher level of thinking. It's not natural. It's a higher level of awareness that most people have not yet tapped into. But when you tap into that Job state of mind, I call it the Job state of mind, where you can look at everything falling apart and say, listen, none of this could happen without God's permission. And if the God of Israel allowed this to fall on me, right? He's slaying me, I'm gonna still keep trusting him. There's a lot of comfort in that. And to probe a little further and extrapolate a little bit more in depth, the reason why there's comfort in that is because the state of impermanency of all things. That's what that jumped out at me. That shows the state of the impermanency of all things, meaning nothing is permanent, everything is temporary, everything is transitory, and that it's the what's the word I'm looking for? It's the vicissitudes of life, right? It just simply means the cyclical nature of life, or the changeable or transmutable nature of life. Everything is subject to change, right? You could be winning all day, every day right now, and that's a beautiful thing. You know, Reggie Miller in the fourth quarter against the Knicks in the 90s, you can't miss. Every shot you're putting up, you're just going in. You're just going in. Steph Curry, you can't miss. And that's a beautiful thing. And on the other end of that spectrum is you're Shaq at the free throw in 1990s. You can't get a free throw. You can't make a shot. You just keep missing. Every shot you put up, you're just having a bad night, a bad game. And that bad game, bad night just simply means a stage in your life where everything just seems to go wrong, right? You just can't make a shot, right? Which is the polar opposite of the Reggie Miller fourth quarter. You can't miss. But what do both these things have in common is that common denominator, which is the impermanency of all things. Good or bad, winning or missing, winning or losing, hitting or missing. Like, it does not matter. Both are just states that are both impermanent. They're transitory. There's an impermanent nature in all things. Nothing stays the same. Everything is subject to change. And again, it's called the vicissitudes of life, the cyclical nature of life. And, so when you understand that, like, nothing is permanent, winning or losing, firing on all cylinders and having an amazing life and a dope life. And I salute you if that's your state and that's where you are on the spectrum of life. That's a beautiful thing. It's a wonderful thing. But just, it's the same. In principle, there's no permanency. Everything is subject to change. And the solace that is in that is not to say that you shouldn't be winning, that you should feel. No, it's called even keeled. It's about remaining balanced. Like, don't sink in sorrow and darkness. Don't sink too far in that when you can't hit. When every shot you take in life, you miss. You take the shot at this business, it fails. You take a shot at marriage, it fails. You take a shot at home ownership, it fails. When you're missing those shots, Don't sink in misery and depression. Stay even keeled, meaning stay balanced. Understand that this too will pass, and this too has that changeable nature built into it. Everything has a changeable, transmutable nature built into it. When you can't miss, you can't miss. Don't get too even. Don't get too big-headed. Don't get too arrogant. Don't think like your shit don't stink. You know, like stay balanced, even keeled. Understanding that the ebbs, the tides, you know, tides come in, tides go in, ebbs and flows of life, right? So that's that you know, that passage in Job has helped me through this chase, these health cycles that I've been dealing with, because it's just again, it's just let me know that anything comes up on me, whether it's my health, whether it's my finances, whatever, anything that touches me, it's been father filtered. And if God gave it a stamp of approval, then I know it's just a test. And I also understand that if he allowed it to happen, he also allowed me the strength to endure it, and not just to endure it, but to thrive through it, to overcome it, and pass on this gem to somebody else who might be next in line to go through it. All right, so take care of yourselves out there, y'all. Peace.